You won't believe what saved Waylon Jennings' life, and who nearly lost herself doing it. Before he ever sang a word of Outlaw Country, before the world called him a legend, Waylon Jennings faced a battle that had nothing to do with music and everything to do with survival. And standing beside him through the darkest nights was a woman whose name deserves to be etched into country music history just as deeply, Jessi Colter. But here's the twist, this story isn't just about Waylon, it's also about Jessi. The woman who lived in the shadows, who held a family together while the world watched it fall apart, and who, when everything came crashing down, chose faith, silence, and eventually, her voice. This is not just a story about music, it's about identity, love, addiction, and how the quietest people sometimes carry the heaviest weight. Let's start at the beginning. She wasn't born Jessi Colter. She came into the world in 1943 as Miriam Johnson, the daughter of a Pentecostal preacher and a pianist, in Phoenix, Arizona. Life at home was strict, filled with gospel music, sermons, and the black and white rules of faith. From the outside, it looked like she had a clear path: faith, marriage, service. But Miriam wasn't content with that. Even as a kid, there was something inside her pulling away from those lines. An itch for something more, something freer. That tension only grew stronger when tragedy hit. Her little brother Paul died unexpectedly. It shook her world and rattled her beliefs. She never lost her faith entirely, but now it had cracks. And inside those cracks, something new started to grow: songwriting. Her grief became music. Her doubts turned into lyrics. And that's when she started chasing something bigger than the life she'd been handed. By her late teens, Miriam was playing in Arizona nightclubs. She had that rare kind of voice that could silence a room. Not flashy but raw, honest, soulful. In 1961, she married famed rock guitarist Duane Eddy. He was older, already famous, and he introduced her to the music industry. For a while, it seemed like the dream: touring, recording, living in that glow. But behind closed doors, Miriam didn't feel seen. She had talent, drive, ideas. But in the eyes of the industry, and even her husband, she was Duane's wife. Nothing more. Eventually, that marriage crumbled. By 1968, she was a single mom, heartbroken, and unsure who she really was. That's when she made a choice that would change everything. She became Jessi Colter. New name, new voice, new rules. Jessi had a softness but strength. Colter sounded like it belonged in cowboy history. This wasn't a stage persona. It was a rebirth. She wasn't looking to blend in with the polished Nashville sound. She was after something wilder, something true. That's when Outlaw Country found her. The early 70s were a turning point in country music. Guys like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings were sick of being told how to dress, what to sing, and how to sound. They broke away from the system, creating something raw and real: Outlaw Country. And right in the middle of it was Jessi Colter, one of the only women in the movement. She wasn't anyone's backup singer. Her songs were personal, spiritual, and vulnerable. She wrote with a kind of pain and grace you couldn't fake. Her first solo single, I Ain't the One, didn't top the charts, but it turned heads. It said, "I'm here. I've got something to say." And then, she met Waylon. They clicked instantly. Artistically, emotionally, spiritually. It wasn't just chemistry, it was something deeper. They got married in 1969. But what followed wasn't a honeymoon. It was a storm. Waylon was already a star. But he was also haunted by addiction, by pressure, by pain. His drug use spiraled out of control. By the mid-70s, he was spending up to $1,000 a day on cocaine. His health, his money, his spirit, it was all slipping away. And through it all, Jessi stayed. Not because she had to. Not because she didn't know better. But because she saw something in him worth saving. She loved the artist. She loved the man. Even when it hurt. She once said the hardest nights were the ones where she didn't know if he'd make it home. She held the family together. She prayed. She wrote. She carried his weight in her own. Then came the moment everything changed. Waylon decided he'd had enough. He wanted to quit. But he didn't check into a clinic or call a doctor. He and Jessi packed up and went to the Arizona desert. No cameras. No safety nets. Just him, her, and the demons. The detox nearly broke him. Jessi described it as a nightmare. His body was screaming, his mind was unraveling, and all she could do was sit beside him and pray. But she never left. And when the dust settled, he was clean. For good. That was the moment Jessi saved his life. After that, things calmed down, at least on the surface. But the world didn't forget Waylon's past. In 1977, he was arrested in a federal drug bust. The media pounced. The feds claimed he was part of a drug distribution ring. But Waylon, Ever the outlaw, spotted a legal technicality in the warrant and stalled just long enough for the evidence to disappear. Charges dropped. No conviction. He later wrote about it in Don't You Think This Outlaw Bit's Done Got Out of Hand, a song so honest it almost hurts. He knew the image he built was starting to eat him alive. And he didn't run from that truth. He sang it. And Jessi? She was still there. Always there. Holding on. Then came We Are the World in 1985, the global superstar charity single. Waylon was invited to sing. But when producers added a line in Swahili, he reportedly said, "No good old boy sings in Swahili," and walked out. Some called it disrespectful. Others called it classic Jennings, refusing to pretend. Agree or not, it was pure Waylon, authentic, stubborn, uncompromising. But the biggest battle was with Nashville itself. From day one, Waylon hated the system. Clean image, pre-picked songs, studio control. It all felt fake. He fought for freedom, to pick his own songs, record with his own band, dress how he wanted. In 1976 he proved he was right. Wanted. The Outlaws, featuring Waylon, Willie, Tom Paul Glazer and Jessi, went platinum, the first country album to ever do it. 1 million copies sold. Game changer. But behind the scenes, Jessi was still the anchor. Quiet. Strong. Watching her husband reshape country music while raising their son and building a legacy of her own. And when Waylon's health started failing, she was the one holding his hand. He passed away in 2002. The world lost a legend. But Jessi lost the love of her life. After his death, she didn't do the interview circuit. She didn't tour. She faded quietly, slipping into solitude, leaning on her faith. The same faith she'd never abandoned, even when everything else crumbled. She prayed. She cried. She healed. And years later, she picked up her pen. In 2017, Jessi released An Outlaw and a Lady, her memoir. Not a celebrity gossip book. A spiritual journey. Honest. Reflective. Full of pain, grace, and clarity. She told the truth about addiction, love, motherhood, and the woman behind the legend. She didn't ask for pity. She didn't pretend. She just told her story. That same year, she released the Psalms, a haunting album that set scripture to music. It wasn't for the charts. It was for the soul. Just her voice, her piano, and her God. Even now, in her 80s, Jessi Colter is still creating. Still evolving. Still telling the truth. Because her story isn't just about surviving Waylon Jennings. It's about surviving herself, her doubts, her heartbreak, her silence. And finding a voice that was never truly lost. So the next time someone talks about outlaw country and only names the men, remember Jessi Colter. She wasn't just there. She was the fire beneath it all. And if her story moved you the way it moved us, let us know. Drop a comment, share your favorite Jessi song, or just say what her journey means to you. And if you want more stories like this, raw, real, and unforgettable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. We've got more truth-telling on the way. Stay strong. Stay honest. Stay outlaw.